But for him to do that extra stuff costs a little bit more, and he still needed somewhere to live. But there's so much creativity. You talk to the right team, an architect, and the right contractor. Always, I strongly always suggest, even if you have a basement, put storage down there. Put a coin-operated laundromat. Just try to make it income generating, because you don't really want a lot of blank spaces and such. So, yeah.
Alright, so I was reading some of like somebody bought like an abandoned property, right? I guess the roof was off and they like added another level to it and turned that like 2-family it was into 3-family.
Yeah, that's totally possible.
That's cool too.
That's possible, but again, for doing stuff like that, you're talking about possibly changing zoning. Each city, they have their own restrictions.
Architecture.
Correct. So the best thing to do is consult the city with zoning or an architect that can tell you a little bit more about what that city rules are. Depending on where the property is located, you might be able to go up. In certain parts of the city, you might not, because every city has a master plan for their city, so they have restrictions on what type of things or buildings that they want at certain locations. But that's a great idea too. Look back to the fire burn that I said. The roof is off, you might as well build another floor. That's what he said, as long as the city will allow it. So, you know, that's what you always want to do. We call that maximizing the highest and best use of the property.
Have you heard of like first time home buyer programs like cover and stuff like that? Or?
Yeah, 203K. Yep. Yep, 203K will help with that.
Thank you.
Can I add on to that?
Sure, absolutely.
So I actually did close exactly what he suggested. Probably that with a 203K. Just so everyone understands, it's not very practical for first-time investors. It's not realistic that you can handle what is required. Every city, and once again going back to each individual city zoning laws, they have individual ordinances for what's allowed for a basement apartment. Most of the time it's ceiling height, and most of the properties don't have it. Every so often you run into a property that does. So it's not a flat no. Is the point I'm saying.
Sure.
And can you do what he suggested? Buy a 3-family and renovate the basement for, it will be considered a super's apartment. Same thing, you can't rent it out. You cannot rent it out. If they find that you're collecting money from that basement apartment, even if it's a legal one, you will be fine. But there's certain criteria. The doors have to be a certain distance from the water heater, and there has to be egress and all this other stuff. It's a lot, but it is possible. It's just not practical if it's your first investment.
Appreciate that, man.
Just to offer, well, I have a thing with my best friend. So we have a multi-family, and we actually live in the first apartment and the second apartment. We lived there for a couple years, so we got equity in the house. So we're taking out equity to pretty much redo our basement. It's more like a mother-in-law suite type of thing, so we can legally turn it into a 1-bedroom. But I don't know if he wants to live there for a little while, because it was a little easier to do that. But we're in the process right now, and in February they're going to come and work on the basement apartment.
Gotcha. Interesting. Yeah, anything's possible. If you ask the right questions, you pretty much can get almost anything done. Any questions so far about the mortgage process for first-time home buyers or those that want to live in the property?